Welcome to video 2 of module 3. And this is where we're going to talk about what we can do as parents and guardians or teachers to make a public place more accessible and welcoming for our children or students. So here we go.
So you could do a pre-visit, so visiting the place beforehand. You could make a call and ask lots of questions. You can send an email or a message to find out what they're already offering in terms of accessibility. You could make some suggestions to them and see how they respond. You could ask all the important questions about the staff, environment, the process, um, just to get an idea of what the whole picture. And something that you could do is make videos of tours with a VR set, or make videos of tours and then visit them with a VR set. So um, I have this VR set. It's the Meta Quest 3, and we've just started using it. I'm really excited to get it going for my son. So what you do is you put this on your head and you can experience being immersed in an environment beforehand. So my plan is to take videos of places, do our pre-visit with my own camera, just walking through. I'll try to get as many aspects of the environment and everything as possible. And then I'll go back and edit it, maybe do like a narration of it, and then upload it to YouTube for my son. And he can then do the pre-visit through the VR system and he can do the walkthrough. So I can also cast that video on my phone and watch him as he walks through. So I can see if he kind of pauses or goes back and wants to look at several different areas to see what's he going to be interested in looking at when we get there. You can make videos on your phone and it'll just be a regular video walkthrough. You can also get a 360 camera if you want to get fancy, and they can actually look up and down and all around. Yeah, my son did a tour this weekend of a cathedral because he's really
Wow.
interested in looking at churches. And so he was able to kind of go through this tour and he was looking up and down. And it's like there's so many beautiful decorative areas of, old churches. So he was pretty happy about that.
So Alicia, do you have to go and do a pre-visit and do the videoing yourself? Or is there another way? Like, could you access, is there stuff on YouTube or also?
Yes. Yes. So YouTube, if you go to YouTube on in the app in your VR system, there is a 360 video tab and you can actually see all sorts of different kinds of 360 videos that people have already taken. So this is how I didn't go to the cathedral myself. Um, There's all sorts of different places I haven't even touched on exploring. I'm excited. Sometimes there's meditations and hikes and things like that. He's also interested in monuments, so I'm hoping there's some sort of like Big Ben tour or the Eiffel Tower, those kinds of things. Yeah, so there's already videos that people have already taken. There's also a ton of travel apps. So we're going to try those out too, see if there's anything interesting that he can explore because he's got big plans to go traveling, and someday, hopefully, we'll get him there. But that way, we can do our pre-visit without spending a ton of money.
That's kind of awesome. It just makes me think too, like even if you don't have a VR, that's something that you could do with a child or a student is to pre-visit together using a video. So
Yeah.
like an experience of, let's say you're going to go uh on the plane and you could do like watch a YouTube video of somebody else doing that. So that's an option. You don't have to have the big headset, but that sounds like a really cool thing. I'm just going to ask you, why are you trying this?
Yes. So my oldest son has a lot of tricky things about going out in the world. He has huge ambitions and plans to do a whole bunch of different things, but our skills as a family are not quite as high as his ambition. And so we're trying to build those skills in a safe way because sometimes he wants to go out and go do things that we're not quite ready for or we haven't prepped enough for. And so we want to make it as successful as possible in the safety of our own home because there are all those unpredictable things about the environment and all sorts of different aspects that can kind of be thrown into we can be thrown into before we're ready. So why we're doing this is because he needs to practice safely. We also need to know what's he interested in looking at because his communication is not um there's a mismatch sometimes and he's still working on developing communication that we can understand all the time. So
Uh,
that's why.
That makes sense. Well, thanks so much for sharing about that.
Yeah. So another thing you can do is have little note cards with you. They can have a little bit of information. You can pass them out as needed to hopefully help others be more accommodating and patient if needed. Um, Sometimes we don't want to have our kids hear us talking about some challenging things. Could decrease their self-esteem, make them feel like not, you know, we don't want them to feel icky. So it's sometimes helpful to have these on note cards to give people the information they need without really talking about our kids while they're right there, kind of thing, or their challenges, anything they're having kind of a tricky time with. Um,
You have a
because
really
we need, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say maybe this is a good time actually to show that sample that you
Yes.
have used for your guy. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so here's the little note card I made for my son. He really loves going to a particular library in our community. And it being a library, I was concerned about noise because it's quiet. And I wanted them to know that sometimes if he makes noise, which he will, that he's not trying to disrupt anybody. I wanted them to be really welcoming to him and not be alarmed. So I wanted to make these little cards just to pass out to some of the staff so they can be ready for us and create as much of a welcoming environment as possible. And he also likes to ride in the elevator, and so I just didn't want him getting kind of in trouble for riding it maybe multiple times. Um, yeah, so that's something that you could make. This one's specific for the library, specific for my son. So you could do that really simple. I just made it a really small card. Um, I cut out a bunch and I put a little paper clip and I just keep it in my wallet. So it's ready to go.
What? That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we really want to prioritize our connection with our child instead of others' expectations or, views of us. It goes back to that they can be helpful or they can just go kind of idea. We don't always need to accommodate other people, and it's that mindset that kind of helps our kids feel more calm in the moment. Yeah, a line that I like to use is don't worry, I'll handle it. So like that's something I have in my back pocket. Um, if someone's kind of making judgments or I'm feeling their judgments or they're making comments or something like that, I can say, don't worry, I'll handle it. And then in the moment, truly, I'm already handling it, but they can take that anywhere they want to. So they make up their own story in their mind about how I'm handling it, and we're both satisfied. So I like using that line.
Okay, I'm going to screen share a site that you might find helpful. Here we go. Okay, Alicia.
So these are hidden disability sunflower cards. What I really love about these cards is it looks like you can pick different icons to put on your card that really outline what kind of supports or accommodations are good for you. So it's really tailored for anyone. It's super inclusive. So you don't necessarily need to state a diagnosis or anything specific. You can just get this card, and these icons can kind of tell whoever's around what you need or what will be helpful.
Thanks.
Yeah. So another thing you can do is make a personal connection with those who work there and those who operate the business, the space, the event, like managers, coordinators, or owners. Um, you can advocate for change in accessibility in all public spaces. You can educate others on the importance of accessibility. You can model. You can always do that. You can be an accessible and welcoming model for others to follow. And it's not about forcing someone through an experience or about gradual exposure to something they're having, aversion to. Um, you don't have to fit in a box that society or you have arbitrarily created.
That's a really important piece, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, not forcing. We're not trying to force someone. It's how can we support someone if they are willing and want to try something new. Okay, so now it's time for our reflection questions for you. What is a public place that your child, student, or client likes to visit? And why do you think that is? Now, knowing this, what could you do to help other spaces feel more inviting for this child? Now, Alicia, you have a great example. Maybe we could go through this question once just with you. So, why does your oldest like to go to maybe the Daisy Mart or Tiny Cakes?
He loves going to the Daisy Mart and Tiny Cakes. He loves them because he can access all parts of the space. Any inaccessible areas are clearly marked, or we've practiced that um, over time, where he knows what's inaccessible, and it's pretty clear to him. We have a personal connection with each of these spaces. So the people that run these spaces or work at these spaces, we know them and we've made a connection with them. So we feel super welcome going to both of them. These things make us as parents feel way more comfortable going into them because we know we'll be welcome. We know the routine of the spaces as well.
Okay, so that's great, right? Feeling comfortable. It's nice to know that he has some of these spaces already. So then thinking about this, knowing what you just said, what could you do or what could you incorporate into visiting other spaces? Like expanding his world a little bit. What kinds of considerations would you have then, just based on the positive experiences you've had before?
Yeah, doing that pre-visit or all the pre-visit work beforehand, us going in and seeing the space and making those connections, making a plan to make things predictable. So writing out a process story, so going over, what can happen or what are we going to do when we get there, what the process is. All of this stuff also, it doesn't only lower his anxiety, it lowers our anxiety too. So then we're better able to support him while we're there. And those are things that we can take forward or moving forward into new spaces.
That's awesome. And something I just want to add because came to mind while we're speaking here is that having some areas where there has been success, we can use those, like build on those memories, right? By talking about them after the fact and about what happened and all really highlighting all the positive things, because then we can use that memory that you make stronger to pull forward into memories, like into what's going to happen now. Hey, we're going to this new place, but remember when we went to Daisy Mart and there's that door that says only staff that's the same in this new place. There's going to be a door where we can't go. So you kind of bring in the memories of the experience of the past forward into how that memory is going to help support this new experience. So it's a neat process to do. And it's something that um, I hope the reflection questions will help all of you kind of think through and see. So next up, in the next module, we're going to start talking about things like what would an ideal accessible school look like? So we'll see you then.